So our next talk is another use case. So I'll introduce Praveen Kumar, a professor of civil and environmental engineering here at the University of Illinois. And this will be a team presentation with he and a couple grad students. I'll let you introduce them as you will. So, okay. Very good.
Okay, thank you, Dave. So first, let me introduce China and Dongkuk. So I'll present a little bit, and then I'll turn it over to them. They are doing all the hard work, so they should. They are in a better position to explain what is going on. The use case that we are dealing with is basically using the critical zone observatory as a test bed for a lot of the brown dot technology and just try to integrate. So I'm going to very briefly present the critical zone observatory context and the data for those of you who are not familiar with it, and then we'll turn it over for some very specific studies that Gina and Dongkuk will present. So the critical zone observatories, there are 10 of them, and they aim to basically go from molecular scale all the way to watershed scale. So trying to understand process level dynamics and interaction between biotic and abiotic processes and their evolution or co-evolution over very, very long period of time, and then the human impact on them. So this basically captures that we are going to go from a very small scale to the watershed scale. And this is another characterization that the study is not limited to one particular scale, but basically integrating across them. So as I said, we are called the Intensively Managed Landscapes Critical Zone Observatory, and we are part of a network of 10 observatories that are presently funded by the National Science Foundation. And these three sites which we have, one in the Upper Sangamon River Basin, which is just about 15 minutes drive from here, Clear Creek watershed in Iowa, and the Minnesota River Basin. So this is a small watershed, about 270 square kilometers. We are larger, about 3,700 square kilometers, and this is really large, about 40,000 square kilometers. This is a partner. They have an independent funding. So we are working with them to take advantage. As you can see, all three basically form part of the Upper Mississippi watershed. They capture a variety of physiographic heterogeneities and landscape evolution characteristics. So the goal is basically to use this to at least get a good sense of what is going on in the glaciated landscapes, and then work with the other observatories to basically go from place-based to generalizable studies. So the critical zone observatories provide a lot of innovation in measurement, in instrumentation, and also a richness of data heterogeneity, which needs to be brought together to put together a story, to put together an understanding, to transform the way we have understood our landscapes and dynamics. So in our observatory, what we are doing is basically putting together instrumentation to measure across the watersheds a whole suite of different variables. They range from climate and meteorology to geomorphology related to soil science, hydrology, water chemistry, biogeochemistry, ecology, and then one of the critical components in our landscape, which is related to human impact studies. So I won't go through these variables, but they tend to be comprehensive. I mean, of course, you cannot measure everything, but there are a lot of novel elements to it, such as the unmanned aerial vehicle, which our colleague Josh Peschel is an expert in. So when you look at it, you'll see this is an unmanned boat, and you can basically run these down in the stream. You can get some very, very interesting data, such as the locations of the tile flow and an understanding of what's going on in the stream. But just looking at this, I mean, we are digging into the soil. several tens of meters. We're looking at the cores that come out of these through a variety of approaches. We are putting in instrumentation to measure infiltration. We are using historical aerial photography from the 1930s to match with modern photographs. We put in a whole suite of groundwater wells and lysimeters and weather stations. There was a flood a week ago, 10 days ago, and I'm still paying the price in my basement. It's a mess, but Bruce Rose and his team went out in Allerton, and they were taking ADCP measurements. We put out ISCO instruments out in the field to basically do water sampling, which was done during this flood event. So these data sets are varied, and they're coming in from a variety of sources. We have LiDAR data. This is just terrestrial LiDAR, and what you do see is basically signatures of glacial advances in there. So this is the Upper Sangamon River Basin. These are some historical locations where measurements were made. The LiDAR, provides some very, very interesting ways to look at the landscape as a whole. And China is going to talk about some of the analysis that we are doing, and our hope is that the tools that we are incorporating from other resources, the one which we will develop, can then use, with the help of Brown Dog, can be used to understand landscapes broadly, which would be otherwise very difficult. So the LiDAR data is becoming very, very easily available across a whole range of landscapes, and will facilitate cross-comparison. There is a new types of LiDAR coming in, which are called the waveform LiDARs, or the green LiDARs, which are different from the pulse LiDARs, and they allow better characterization of vertical structure of the canopy, as well as they have some ability to penetrate through water to provide bathymetry. So particularly we are interested in the stream bathymetry. And in maybe 2 weeks, NCAM will be flying LiDAR and hyperspectral instruments over the Upper Sangamon River Basin. So this is the area of the flight, or at least the plan. So the Upper Sangamon is here. We hope to capture a lot of the riparian zones in here, and then also the agricultural areas in this region. And they have agreed to fly the infrared waveform LiDAR. Software for processing this are sparse. There's very little of it, so we might have to be creative and develop our own on how to analyze this, but will provide some very, very unique data. So anybody who's interested in using this is welcome to talk to me in this. And as Mike mentioned, we'll be using the hyperspectral instrument, so that's also going to fly on that same aircraft. And these hyperspectral instruments try to provide very, very rich set of data. We have some experience. This is over the Mississippi flood region, in the lower Mississippi flood that happened in 2011. So this is the confluence of the Mississippi, Ohio. This is the Missouri region. And with the data that was collected by NASA, AVRIS, we were able to characterize soil texture. So this is an unprecedented resolution of sand, silt, clay percentages. So this is just the clay, and then we can get to some soil organic matter and so forth. So there's a whole suite of things which we can do. So we are hoping that we'll be able to develop a lot of soil sample. We'll collect soil samples, correlate with the aircraft flights, and develop characterization of the landscape and understand what's going on. So in this type of very rich environment where there's active data collection that is going on to drive a lot of some very interesting science, from the Brown Dog, we hope that we will be able to develop a lot of these technologies to accelerate what we are doing, and then adopt these technologies for cross CZO kind of studies. So in my world, unstructured data is viewed broadly as comprising of a collection of heterogeneous data with formats that reflect temporal and disciplinary legacies, data from emerging low-cost open hardware-based sensors and embedded sensor networks that lack well-defined metadata and sensor characteristics, as well as data that are available as maps, images, and text. So we're hoping to develop capability to integrate heterogeneous data, develop example applications of analysis and modeling that exploit this integrated data, and then guide the translation of these technologies for general purpose use, which can be applied pretty broadly to the critical zone. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to China. She's going to talk about some of the things she's doing with LiDAR data, and then Dongkok will talk about nutrient modeling, and then we'll conclude.
Hello, everyone. My name is China Yan. In this section, I'm going to use 3 examples to show you how the brown dog helped me conduct my research. And I hope it will benefit you in the future to let you think about how brown dog can help you to do your research. First of all, I'd like to give you a brief research context about my study. As Professor Kumar mentioned before, the IMCCO focus on the Middle West area. There are 2 prominent features in the area. One is the low gradient stream. You can see from this area, photo is super flat in this area. And another feature is that the landscape is strongly modified by human activities. This big machine is trying to straight the channel, try to prevent the channel from meandering. So my initial focus on this area is on terraces and floodplain and stream cross-section study. This kind of terraces, floodplain, and stream cross-section can help us understand the equilibrium or disturbance impact happen on this area. For this presentation, I will focus on method by using LiDAR data to extract information regarding to terraces, floodplain, cross-section. This is my study area. We choose the Upper Sacramento River Basin as a study zone. It's in the middle of Illinois state. And because of the specific geomorphology features, we decided to use LiDAR data. So I decided to give you a brief introduction about what is LiDAR data, but most of you probably already know that. We can generate 2 kinds of DM from airborne LiDAR. One is DTM, which is bare ground data. The trees and buildings and highways all removed from the surface. Another kind of LiDAR data is DSM, which is digital surface mode. It includes the trees, buildings, all the infrastructures. In my study, I use only the DTM, which is bare ground LiDAR. So in the following slides, when I say DEM, it's actually DTM. LiDAR data has many disadvantages. LiDAR data has many advantages. One obvious advantage is that it can give you more details because of the high resolution. So I made a very brief comparison between the 30-meter DM and the 1.2-meter DM, which is LiDAR data. So you can see these 2 plots show the same elevation profile in the Sacramento River. So they show exactly the same channel, but LiDAR data give you longer streamlines. And also LiDAR data shows more obvious concave and convex along the channel. And now this is my first example to show you how brown dog can help me conduct my research. My input data is LiDAR, which is the format is raster grid data, and I used T2 to help me to generate the relative flat polygon inside the river valley, which is called terraces or floodplain. And the T2 can generate a shapefile, so I use MATLAB to process the data of the shapefile. The brown dog here can either replace the T2 with services, and also can create some services to help me do static analysis instead of using MATLAB or other language. So this is the bare ground LiDAR without doing anything on it. The green line is the stream channel. You can see this is the valley area. So I picked 2 areas as example. And now after running the TRX tool, it will generate, first of all, capture the relative flat area, which is each polygon on it. And the number on it means the relative elevation to the stream channel, to the closed stream channel. So you know how the height the flat area is compared to the closed stream channel elevation. These 2 plots are the cross-section information, so you can see the tracks give us really good result about capturing the terraces. This is a air photo from Google Earth. We can hardly see from the aerial photo. So I use 2 ways to analyze the numbers. One is use the statistic analysis. So I plot the probability distribution function to show how the terrace is distributed in different zones. And another way is to plot the elevation profile together, the elevation profile of terraces together with the stream channel, the bed elevation. Again, the brown dog may help me generate this automatically in the future, but now I'm just using MATLAB to plot this result. My second example is about hypersymmetric study. Again, the input data is still LiDAR data, and here I use HackGRS to help me generate the cross-section along the stream channel automatically. And the HackGRS can capture the elevation and the coordinate information in the cross-section lines. And after I get this will create a text file. So I use MATLAB to process the text file and get more plots and other information from that. So this is an example of how I use HackGRS tools. By the way, both HackGRS and TRX tools can plug in toolbox that you can, which means you can use in ArcGIS. This green band are actually cross-section lines. They are just, we have thousands of cross-section lines along the stream. So HackGRS can capture the elevations and coordinate information. But HackGRS has strong disadvantage is that it cannot process all the cross-section line at the same time. So it's a very time-consuming job when I use HackGRS. But hopefully brown dog will help me to generate this much faster. This is a concept of what is hypersymmetric curve. Briefly, hypersymmetric curve can tell us how the degree of maturity of the cross-section. So if the cross-section looks like this, then we're going to have a curve looks like this. So if we know the curve follow this shape, then we know it's a relatively mature channel. However, in this part, this is much immature channel, immature cross-section. This is the result on this segment river. So you can see clearly that in the head part, we have much more mature cross-sections compared to the middle and lower level of this river. My third analysis is called sinuosity. Sinuosity is also an important hydro index. Again, my input data is also LiDAR, and I manually digitalize the streamlines along the map, and use and I run the tool in the ArcGIS a little bit, so it will generate a shape file, and I export the shape file use MATLAB to process the data, follow same procedure as the previous two examples. And here, brown dog may help me create the stream channel automatically instead of I manually draw the lines. And also, again, the brown dog may process the data automatically for me in the future. The sinuosity concept means the actual channel length versus the straight line distance. So it can tell you how banded, how meandering the river is. And this is the result. First of all, I draw the lines along the river manually myself, and then I choose the moving window as 1 kilometer, which means I cut these streamlines with 1 kilometer segments. And so I draw the box plot. The mean values here is a 25-75% value. And then I change the segment in length to 2,000 meters, which is I change the interval to 2,000 meters and do the process again. So you can see after about 4,000 meters, the sinuosity goes to the constant value. So I know what kind of length is reasonable I can use to look at the sinuosity index. Beside the three examples, we also have a lot of area photos to process. The area photos are very old, and the format, the recent area photos are GeoTIFF, some older ones are SID file. So with this area photo, we hope to compare how the channel changed, how the channel meandered, how much the channel extended by human activities. Obviously, brown dog will help us a lot in the future to study this kind of thing. So summary, what brown dog can help me on the research is it can either replace existing tools with services. Sorry, it's not services. Service, the wrong word. But the services that can increasing my processing speed, and can also generate a better tool on the service itself. But maybe brown dog may not can brown dog may create a more general tools for the public. So instead of going to very details in each user case, it can give you a general idea. Can give you a general tools to let you know how to help you do your research. Okay, so Jungkook will present the nutrient model part.
From now, I will talk about nutrient model and how brown dog will facilitate my research. This is in our research group, we have multi-layer soil nutrient model. The soil carbon and nutrient dynamics are directly controlled by soil microbes, which is a key mechanism for the accurate projections. However, like in traditional models such as DayCent and DNDC, doesn't have this key mechanism in their model. We have applied our model to study the impact of bioenergy crops. We considered different scenarios for the different amount of biomass that is left to the soil during harvest. The result obtained in this study highlights that there is a threshold effect on soil carbon accumulation, which is dependent on the biomass left to soil during harvest. For switchgrass, it is 25% of overgrown biomass that is left to the soil. For miscanthus, it is 50%. However, we didn't see such threshold effect for corn soybean rotation. The nitrogen age study is currently my research topic. And the typical definition of age is time elapsed since the particle under consideration left the region in which its age is prescribed to 0. As you know, due to the complexity of nutrient cycle, it might be difficult to achieve profound insight with a simple analysis of available measured or simulated variables, thus a specific interpretation method is required, which is one of which is analysis of elapsed time. We have developed a nitrogen age model without assuming any particular nitrogen transformation and translocation, and without introducing any additional parameters. These are our preliminary results. As you can see here, nitrate age is older than ammonium age due to the mineralization process. Also, the deeper the soil, the older the age, because deeper soil layer has very low decomposition process. And here, the brown dog came into my research. I found a data table that spans over 20 pages in PDF. So but I would like to use it for my model. Brown dog technology helped to convert the data table in PDF into Excel for my model validation and model forcing. There are lists of the data and tools for our research.
Okay, so basically what we have is really two samples of a very complex complex project, and we have a team of over 20 senior personnel in the Critical Zone Observatory, and at present time at least 14 students who are associated with the IML CZO effort. And so it provides a rich playground for testing a variety of brown dog technologies and also informing what are the kind of technologies that can be developed. So we are in very, very early stage, year one of both the projects, and I think there is a lot that can be done. So, and this is a partnership between the CZO project, the brown dog, the seed project that Kenton talked about very early on, and then we have a new ArcCube project looking at integration between long-tail data and long-tail models. And I think it's a playground for pretty rich exploration. So with that, questions?
Again, for those over the ether, Brian Wee from Neon. The question here regards your colleagues in like the Christina River Basin, folks like Chris Duffy and Anthony Offenkamp. But like I know Chris Duffy over there is using QGIS to implement the PHIM, the Pennsylvania Hydrologic Information Model, and so have you guys? I realized that the CZO National Office was just announced last month or something like that. But are there plans to, for example, bring the QGIS folks into the mix along the lines of what you're hoping here to do via Brown Dog with the S3 data product, so that there's some level of conformance and compatibility between what you guys are doing and what the Eastern Coast CZOs are doing?
So that's a good question. The thing is, I and Chris have had many conversations over the years, and we don't have plans to run one model at other locations. I mean, it's simply because of the resources that are available and the particular kind of processes that we explore between them. But having said that, the ArcCube project, which I didn't talk about, is aimed at linking data and models. So what we are calling it as long-tail models, which basically, much like long-tail data, which is produced by different people, which have a lot of heterogeneity, there are models which are produced by Chris and me and some other people, which have a lot of heterogeneity. And how do we bring those together? So we are going to develop a semantic framework so that we can link data and models. So hopefully the ArcCube project in a couple of years will provide the technologies to use the same data and run models or across integrate model components. So you're probably familiar with CSDMS effort. Scott Peckham is a partner on this. So we're going to develop those technologies so we can better integrate rather than just saying, can we implement that model here or this model there? Other questions? Okay. Everybody's hungry.
Before we do break for lunch, stepping back a little bit from the use cases that you've seen, any other sort of more general brown dog questions that you have in your mind right now that we could answer before?
I sort of have a question about metadata and this use of this compilation of data without metadata. I guess my question is, how do you know how usable data is without some of this associated metadata? Is this
how usable data is without, and if there's no metadata in the first place?
Yes, exactly.
Well, there's collections, right? And so you have some idea that it's a collection of images or LiDAR data or archives of various things, but you're looking for particular things like certain areas, river basins, floodplains, stuff like that.
Well, I'm just thinking about data quality and how you would handle something like that within Brown Dog.
If the data is good, I don't know. I don't know if that's something we've really considered. So it's more finding it, and something else determines if it's good or not. Yeah. Brian.
So Brian, again, actually, I knew you were talking about you were alluding to data quality when you asked that question, because there is an ISO metadata format. I cannot remember the number right now that is addressed and documenting data quality. I think it's 19147. I cannot remember the exact number, but 19147 comes into mind. So that's one thing. The second thing about metadata and data quality, of course, is again going back. Sorry, can I? Yeah, it's again going back to the issues of provenance and whether when you download a data set, can you download also the provenance associated with the data set? You know, if folks are following like the W3C Prof, the Prof O, Prof ES, that suite of technologies, can that be made available so that somebody downloading the data set can assess data quality through the provenance?
Was there a question in there too? I'm sorry.
No, that was kind of a comment back to the issue of data quality.